Yeah, hello everyone. Matt Covert here from RacersHQ.com. Really excited to do another live Q&A session. This is going to be really fun. We did one last week. Last week was the first one. Paul Sexton, are you on? Are you on yet? I see that you already shared the post about this, which is awesome. I posted it and boom, Paul just snapped it up and went and shared it. That was awesome. So Paul, if you're here, leave me something in the comments. I want to say hi to you, my man. Yeah, okay, so we did the last one last week. It was really fun. And if you missed the last one, you can catch it. It's below on the Facebook page, somewhere down there. If you want to go right to the website and watch it, you can. The first live session, you can find it racershq.com/live1. Very fun stuff. And, man, I've just been putting it out there and getting people to ask questions. There's Paul Sexton. I see you, my man. I see you just joined. Nice to see you. And yeah, so I've just been putting this out there, and I have this really great place. You know, you go to racershq.com/ask anytime and submit your question. I love meeting new people and helping you out. I love helping people. It's my favorite thing that I get to do. And so I think Wednesday nights are going to be a constant thing that we're doing live here. So I got my notes in front of me up here on my computer, and I got a bunch of questions already in queue. So if you're watching already, there he is, Paul Sexton. What's up, my man? Yeah, if you got something you want to add or comment, you know, add your thoughts. I mean, I love perspective. A lot of different perspectives are going to help a lot of other people. So leave your thoughts right there in the comments, and I guess we'll just hop right on in. And if you have any other questions, throw them right in. We'll try to get to them in the session. So for now, though, I've got stuff that people have been submitting all week long. And I've got something here from Colin Gordon. We're going to talk about how to move, from discount sponsorships to getting actual sponsorship money. Been getting a lot of money questions lately, and there's a lot to that one. So we'll get to that one too. Fernando Granados, I think he's from WV area. Been really cool getting to know him. He and I have been going back via email, and he's got another great question here. He asked about how to balance everything, as far as work and personal life and racing, and I have a lot to say about that too. It's trickier than it seems, and I hope Calvin's going to be on. Calvin Gillick's asked another question here, and he went through something, in the recent, recent past where he did a really good job, handling a really tricky situation. I'm really proud of the way he did it, so we're going to talk about that, and if we get to it, I know Ben Friedman was asking about a really interesting tire pressure in rain thing, and we talked about that via email, me and him a little bit, but we'll get to that stuff, and I'm planning to go for about half an hour here. If you have any other questions, throw them into the comments. We'll try to get to them. If we don't get them today, we'll get them next time, just like we did here. We got some overflow already from the last session, so let's talk about it. All right, so I want to talk about the sponsorship thing first, and again, this is from Colin Gordon, and I really appreciate him asking this because I think this is a pretty common sentiment among amateur racers. They, who's that? Is that somebody? Okay, all right, no, sorry. Getting distracted here. There's a lot of stuff going on. I like this live video thing. All right, so here he is, Colin. He's asking how to move sponsorship from a discount situation to getting actual money. Everybody wants money for racing. Not having enough money to go racing is the number one concern among amateur racers. I'm always asking for feedback and polling people and surveying and asking, and everyone wants more money. Of course we do. We want money to go do what we love. But I hate that it's called sponsorship. I think the word sponsorship is really misleading because that has nothing to do with the process of actually getting money for racing, right? You sponsor the local softball team so they can buy t-shirts or go out for ice cream or whatever it is they do. You're giving them money. You don't expect to get anything back from them. That's what sponsorship is. Right? But if you want to get real money to go, and I'm talking about thousands of dollars here. I'm talking about funding, a few sets of tires or all your entry fees. Like, there's a lot of money in racing. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. There's money out there, So how do you get it? How do you convince someone to actually give you money? Well, there are a couple things you have to keep in mind as you kind of go through the. Let me start over that again. You have to approach these situations from a certain perspective. Okay? You have to consider them as partnerships and not sponsorships. You're not going to get pity money from anybody unless you know them or they're interested in what you're doing and they don't care about getting a return from you. But when you're talking about big money, you got to bring something to the table. When people ask me about this stuff, I always say to them, okay, cool. All right, so you're in a good situation. You're starting to get going. You have some credibility. You got some wins, whatever. What are you bringing to the table? What can you give back to a company? Because for a company, partnering with a race car team is all about creating some type of mutual situation. Okay, so for them, it's marketing. You know, they're not gonna just give you money. They got to get a return on that money. So you got to figure out a way to be valuable enough so that you can be. And a lot of people will say, oh, okay. And I ask them, and I got sidetracked. That's what I was saying, right? So I ask people, oh, what do you bring to the table, right? And say, okay, I'm gonna put their stickers on my cars, and I'm gonna talk about them on social media, and it's gonna be great. That's what all the pros do. Oh, come on, man. That's not how it works, okay? What do you think your social media is going to add to the value of a company who has a following of 200,000 people? Your 200 followers aren't going to do anything. You think people, okay, well, people are going to see my car, at the at the autocross, 150 people event, times 10 events, whatever. It's a lot of people. No, it's not. You're marketing to the same 150 people all year long. And that might be a little bit helpful, like, maybe for a small local company, but for someone who can actually help you, it's not going to work. Okay? So you have to approach the situation differently. You have to figure out how you can add value. I'm talking about real value to somebody, okay? Like low effort value to somebody. Picture it this way, okay? If you walk into a bar and you go up to the bartender and you say, oh, hey man, can I have a free drink? What do you think that guy's gonna say? He's gonna say, come on dude, get out of here, you can't give away drinks. That's not how you make money. That's not an income strategy. It doesn't work, okay? But if you go up to the same bartender and you say, hey man, I don't have my money, I forgot my wallet, whatever. And then you say, if I go around the bar and if I can sell 2 extra drinks to somebody, will you give me a free drink then? And if he's a smart bartender, he's going to say, heck yeah, let's do business, okay? Because even though he's going to give 1 drink away to you, he's going to sell 2 of them. So he's still up 1 paid drink. Everybody wins. The bartender makes money with no effort on his part, and you get a free drink just like you wanted to. Okay? And if you can't come up with a situation that works for everybody like that, they're going to say no. Because you got to come up with something that's so valuable to a company that it's more lucrative than just throwing money at Facebook. Like if you ask a company for $100, okay, you better be able to convince them that that you can either, get in front of more people or get somebody to buy or generate leads or something like that, because you know how many people a company can reach on Facebook with $100? If I spent $100 on Facebook right now to promote this event that we're doing this second, I could have reached 80,000 people, 110,000 people. So you got to come up with something that's really going to work. And this is what I was telling. I was talking to Paul. I know Paul's still on. I was talking to Paul the other day, and he and I were talking about sponsorship strategies. And I was like, okay, look, you got to approach the situation like just pretend you're a consultant, a business consultant, right? And you've already been hired by whatever company that you want to get, make a deal with. You got to imagine them just sitting around and waiting to see what you do, what you're going to come up with. Like you got to change the game for them. So if you can't come up with something that's like good for you, good for them, then you're never going to get anywhere. And by the way, I got 2 things to say. One, you better be grateful for the companies that are out there offering discounts, because they're actually losing money by supporting you. Yeah, they're getting their name out there a little bit, but to move from discounts to actual money is a big deal. It is a big deal. It's going to take you a ton of money, a ton of time. There's a lot of stuff you got to learn. You got to be creative. You got to dig deep. So if you're a hobby level driver asking how you can, what's the secret magic formula? There is none. You got to be super creative, and you got to bring a lot to the table. But you don't have to have anything in your pocket to do it. I promise. Just for example, I was thinking about this the other day. I was like, okay, I've interviewed the Team O'Neill Rally School owner, Tim O'Neill. He's been on the podcast. Great interview, really cool guy. If I wanted to go to his 5-day rally school, I'd probably get with him and I'd say, all right, hey, check this out, right? I want to go to your 5-day rally school, and I want you to let me come and do it for free, right? And I could say to him, man, you know what? I got this really great company. I got Racers HQ, and like I was saying, I reached 110,000 people last week. That's a lot of niche-specific people that would be interested in what they do. I want to get better at driving, take classes, whatever, right? So if I said, look, if you guys are willing to give away a free half-day school, I can promote this as a giveaway, which is really valuable to my followers, and we'll put the whole thing behind an email opt-in screen. Got to give me your email address if you want to get, submitted for this drawing. At the end of a couple of days, I'm going to have 300 or 400 hot emails, right? People who are interested in the school. And I can give them to Tim and say, look, give this to your sales team. These are people who are interested in your school, right? And all his sales team's got to do is say, call those people and say, hey, we saw you were interested in the half-day rally school, on racershq.com. What can we do to work with you and get you in here, right? That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. Because if they can sell one 5-day rally school out of those 300 people, boom, they already paid for mine. right? And they had, almost no effort on their part because I went and found all the hot leads for them. It's stuff like that. That's the mindset that you got to get into if you want to be successful in racing, move from discounts to actual money. And people say to me, but Covert, you got an unfair advantage. You got this company you can throw around. Yeah, I do. It is my unfair advantage, right? If you want to have one, go build it. I started this company. I had less than $1 in the bank. I didn't have an apartment. I had a BRZ and I was sleeping in it. And I said, man, something's got to change. And that's when I decided to do this. So it doesn't matter where you are. You can always get to where the next place is to be. I think I pretty much exhausted that. I think I pretty much said all I need to say about that. So if you're watching, okay, I want to say hi to you. Go ahead and just say hi in the comments. I want to say hi to you in the live video, and I want you to introduce yourself so I can introduce myself. So if you're here and you're paying attention, you're listening, go ahead and do that right now. I'm looking forward to meeting you. All right. So I want to move right on here. Man, that one took 12 minutes. I went off on that one. All right, we'll move on though. Is Calvin Gillick? I hope Calvin Gillick is watching here. He was here last week, and I've chatted with him a few times over the months. And he's a great guy, and he and I've been chatting too. And he's got something I want to come back to as far as ethics and racing, and that's really cool. But before that, I want to get to Fernando Granados and his question that we were talking about via email. He says, how do you balance everything, man? He says, as in, like, the work, the personal life, and all the racing and stuff like that. That's a really tough question, man. And I got to be totally authentic and totally honest with you guys. That's one of the things I struggle with a lot, is get everything balanced. And the timing on this is really funny because I actually had a really long talk with my brother earlier today about just this thing. Like, my brother and I are both really good at what we do, but we do different things. Everyone has their own strengths, and everyone also always wants to figure out how to balance all these things that are going on. He's really good at relationships, with people and romantic relationships. He just got, engaged to his soon-to-be wife, which is really exciting, and I'm really good at the business stuff. That's what I'm good at. So, for me, being good at business, it makes relationships hard because you got to put in a ton of time and effort in one thing to be amazing at it, and that's got to be your main thing. So balancing gets tricky, and I struggle with this all the time. So here's kind of my strategy with dealing with something like that. I tend to focus less on balance, and I focus more on removing the things in my life that aren't congruent with where I want to end up. You have to have clarity on where you want to end up. You've got to know where your destination is so that you can reverse engineer the journey, right? And if you know where you're going, you don't have to shoot down all those random highway exits to go explore. You can go right to your destination, and you can ignore all the stuff on the side that doesn't apply to you. Okay, that's kind of my strategy, and I promise you, that's what's going to work. It's funny. Like, I get to connect with so many people, and I love it. I love the racing stuff. I love helping people. It's my favorite thing that I get to do. I love helping people progress. And so a lot of people would talk and they're like, I'll do anything to be a pro racer. What do I do? I'll give up anything. I'll do this. I'll do anything. Give me the steps. Tell me what to do. And it's funny, like, we'll keep talking and get them motivated and all this stuff. And I'm going to set you up. I got to set you up so I can cut you down and rebuild you. I'm going to be tough on you because I want to help you grow and succeed. I care about your success. So at the end of the conversation with some of these people, I'll just, casually work in. I'll be like, oh man, I just finished this really great show on Netflix. I'm like looking for something new. Like, well, what should I watch? Like, you got any ideas, like suggestions? And some of these people, they'll go on for, 5 minutes, 7 minutes, whatever, about, oh man, I watched this show was awesome, and this is what I liked about this one, and man, I really recommend this one. This one was so good that I sat down and binge watched like 3 seasons in like 4 days. And I'm like, okay, dude, hang on. I gotta stop you there. You just told me you'd do anything to be a pro racing driver. You just told me you binge watched 3 seasons in 4 days? Man, here you are talking about wanting success. You don't want success. You only kind of want success. You take success if it fell in your lap, but you're not doing anything. Hey, who's this? We got Chris Raffelli? I think I'm pronouncing that right. How's it going, man? Nice to meet you. I'm glad you said hi. Pleased to have you here. Talk to these people, man, and they don't want success. They take it if they fell in their lap, but they're not doing anything to go out and earn it. And that's the problem. That's a huge problem. So I'm all about focusing. Hey, there's Calvin. Oh man, I hope you caught that last section, Calvin. I was just talking about you, and I saved your question for a little bit later in the session. So stick around, Calvin. I got something I really want to talk about you. I'm really proud of you about something, man. We got to talk. All right, so stand by. And I'm a lot less about trying to balance all these things that are in my life. How do I be successful and still have fun and all this other stuff? Okay, you got to remove stuff that doesn't match your goals. There's a lot less to balance, so you got to figure out what's distracting you. And it doesn't apply to just race driving, but anything you want to be successful in. If, you got to find out, reverse engineer the problem. Okay, I'm wasting time. Something's distracting me. What are the things that are distracting me? In this case, it's definitely Netflix. Okay, you need to get rid of your TV, like right now. Do you know the average American spends 4 hours watching TV a day? It's 13 years of your life, dude. 13 years. I'd rather spend 13 years of my life building something productive. But some people, they'll just sit around and watch other people be successful on the TV. That doesn't make sense. Man, I'm on a tear about this success stuff. I've been paying a ton of money to a multimillionaire business mentor, and it just generates some amazing perspective shifts, man. If you really want to accomplish something, I gotta tell you this. I found this out the other day. This is crazy. If I think the number one distraction for everyone, no matter what they want to accomplish, is their phones. I saw this amazing study the other day. The average person touches their phone 2,765 times a day. 2,765 times a day you type or tap or swipe or do something with your phone. And you're sitting around wondering why you can't get anything done? That's why. You're not willing to put down the stuff that isn't congruent with what you want, so that you actually get something finished. Something finished that is in line with your success. I drive a 17-year-old car. I don't want to make payments. People are always saying they don't have oh, there he is. Chris says, truer words were never spoken, my man. Reverse engineering is a key to success. Without a goal in mind or a target, you're just on a random journey. Can I just slow clap you for a second, Chris? Well done. Well said. I know you've probably heard the saying, a genius with no roadmap is never going to get anywhere, But an average person, I don't know about you, I'm average, I'm not a genius, but an average person like you and me, we can get anywhere we want to go if we know where the destination is, if we have a roadmap. All you got to do is get clarity on your end result, and we can reverse engineer the journey from there. No big deal, Man, I'm all up on excited about this stuff. Great comment, Chris. I'm really excited about that. Yeah, I drive a 17-year-old car. I don't care about car payments. The other big excuse is, I don't have time. I don't have enough money. I could easily free up $500 a month for you if you told me what you're spending your money on. You spend $110 a month on your phone, your $700 iPhone. You don't need that. I have an entry-level phone. It's a piece of junk. I hate phones, but you got to have them because it's part of life, But you really got to know how to mitigate that stuff. So you're either going to find a way to make something happen, or you're going to find an excuse, and that's kind of where we're at. So I guess the bottom line is there, Fernando. It's probably start thinking less about how to balance all the stuff in your life and start removing stuff that's not congruent with what you want to accomplish. Man, we're getting into some really cool stuff. Dude, I'm just unloading all this great stuff I'm learning from my multimillionaire business mentor. This is great stuff. Yeah, all right. So, boy, that took up a lot of time too. I gotta really speed this up. Cool. So if you're, I see there are quite a few people on right now. If you haven't said hi in the comments, please do say hi. I want to introduce myself and say hello to you, and we'll chat. So if you got any questions, just throw them right in there in the comment box, and we'll get to them. If not on this session, but the one next week as well. So, all right, Calvin. This one's for you. I was really excited, and I hope you don't mind if I share this, but I'm really proud of you, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. Okay, so Calvin says, he sent me an email, we chatted about it. He said, I recently had a sponsorship opportunity with a local business and made great strides almost securing it, And he said, I say almost because in the process I learned a few things about their business practices that I don't like, and he says, with them being connected with many businesses, I was afraid of shooting myself in the foot, for, messing up the opportunity maybe for getting sponsored by other businesses. And there's Calvin. Thumbs up, my man. Here we go. And he said, how would you go? I'm wearing a tie. Isn't that nice? He said, how would you go about declining an offer gracefully? That's really good. Also, he says, how would one keep the door open to future possibilities with a business if their sponsorship opportunity doesn't work out? Dude, there's some really heavy stuff in here, okay? And I'm just, first of all, man, I'm so excited and proud of you that you were able to turn down something you really needed, something you really wanted, because you wanted to stay true to your values. At the end of the day, you really got to decide, do you want to be liked by everybody? Or do you want to be your own self? Like, do you want to be known as someone that everybody likes, while being a pushover by changing yourself to match someone else's standards, Or do you want to stay congruent with what's important to you, be who you are? Yeah, Chris says, you didn't need to get dressed up just for us. Well, it's a casual shirt. I mean, it's short sleeves, Chris. Come on. I mean, I'm not trying too hard here. But appreciate the sentiment, my man. Yeah, so really proud of Calvin for doing what he did, and and I think that a lot of people are going to gain a lot of respect for him. Like even people who don't agree, with anything that you say, people are definitely going to respect you. And I'd much rather stick to my values and be respected, than be known as a pushover, but get what I want. It doesn't make any sense. You just gotta stay true to who you are. So respect is a really interesting thing because it builds trust between people, and trust builds authority. And if you're starting out, like especially in race driving, you want to be known as an authority figure. You want people to trust you. It's all about building relationships and networking, man. Once you start getting authority flows around like water. I spend a lot of time and effort getting featured on huge podcasts. I've done 9 or 10 now. It's really low effort for me, and I get in front of a ton of new people, through their other audiences. But anytime Paul Sexton says, absolutely, great job, Calvin. I'm glad Paul threw that in there, man. I think we're all on the same page on this one. Definitely Calvin's doing the right thing. But authority flows like water, Like if I get in front of another audience who already trusts the host of whatever platform that is on like a podcast or whatever, and then I show up and the host is trusting me and saying, oh man, I really like that, I agree with what you're saying, then instant authority. And authority flows like water. And so does respect. As respect flows around like water too, man. If you have a lot of respect, that's going to flow around all the way around town. You don't need to worry at all about what other businesses are going to do. If other businesses are having a problem with you turning down another company because of the values that you want to stick to, you don't want to be involved with that company, because negative authority flows around like water too. You don't want to get stuck in their mucky water that's flowing around town, all right? That's kind of where I'm at on that. And I think you did all the right things, and I don't think you have anything to worry about, Calvin. I think you're definitely onto something here. So, and just to answer the last part of your question, how do you go about declining an offer gracefully? That's tricky, man. I mean, you're going to have to do that your own way. If it was me, like I turn down stuff all the time because you can't say yes to things that aren't congruent with what you want, right? And so I turn down opportunities here and there, and I say no to things, and I'm always totally honest about it. I'm not wishy-washy. I'm saying, hey, look, man, this is where I'm at. This is what I believe. This is why I can't say yes to this, and I hope you're okay with that. And I've never had a problem with that. People are always really cool with that, If you just say, no, man, I don't want that, without the explanation, I mean, it's just kind of, people are like, oh, what did I do wrong? And you want to keep the relationship open, if something ever changes or whatever, or whatever happens, but that's what really works well for me, and I do that all the time. It seems to work really well, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. So, okay, so I got through those three. Man, I was really excited to talk about those. For those of you who've just logged in and haven't said hi, please say hi. I want to say hi to you on the show. That'll be really cool. And, if you have any questions, let's talk. There's some deep stuff here. Calvin, I know you're right there, man. Can you hit me with something? What are your thoughts on this? I want to chat with you for a second. I want to talk with you on this live video. How do you feel about that? I mean, I know it sucks to walk away without the money that you were going to get. Jake Moore? Is Jacob Moore on this? Hey, what's up, my man? He's a future Air Force pilot with us right now, people. There he is. There's Fernando. He said hello. Jake, nice to see you. I think I'm going to see you in a couple weeks, I hope. That'd be cool. Fernando, I'm glad to see you, man. I'm glad you submitted that question. That was a really good one for us. So, yeah, Calvin, if you can't get back to me now, shoot me an email, because I definitely want to debrief with you about that. That's really cool, really important. So, I don't know if Ben's here. I haven't seen Ben on. I had something I wanted to answer him about too. We got 5 minutes, so if you want to ask me something right now, now's the time. You can hop on right in the comments. I can see them as they come up live, and we can get into anything you want. And if nothing pops up in the next few seconds, I got one more. I got 5 minutes here, and I think we can probably just carry on to the next one. I was hoping Ben would be here, because Ben and I have been talking a little bit all week long, but that's okay. I guess we'll just keep going. So there's Calvin. He says, I felt really good about myself afterwards, but I was worried if it meant I didn't want it enough. Oh, man, don't, yeah. It's funny, man, you want like instant success now, or do you want real success later? Like, do you want everyone's real respect later? That's worth delaying. That's worth delaying. You know, like a lot of people, they hop in, they say, all right, you got to tell me. You know, I know you were on the phone with Rally legend David Higgins the other day. Like, what are his best strategies? I'm like, whoa, hold on. I want to help you. I love helping people, and I can do that. I can help you, man. I can. But there's some things you got to learn first. You got to lay down some foundations to build your house on, right? You got to learn how a high level person operates at a high level. If you take that high level strategy and try and implement it, you can. You know, there's Nick Thomas. He says, hey Nick Thomas, Tom Clark. Oh, get out of town. He says, loading up for a race in Jersey while we listen. What's up from DRT Racing in New Hampshire? Yeah, DRT Racing, the kart racing team. I think they what is it? Colin Daly. They got Colin Daly, the Red Bull kart fighter, driving for them. Really exciting. And I spent the day with Tom Clark last summer doing a day in a shifter kart. That was a lot of fun. So Tom Clark was also on the podcast several episodes ago, talking about the Briggs 206 and the kart racing scene. A lot of great information there. Nice to see you there, Tom. We got to chat. I have something I want to talk to you about. I'll email you later. So. Yeah, man, it's all about delaying gratification. You know, like you got to work on your foundations first. And Calvin, you're laying the awesome foundations now, you know, deciding who you want to be, your values, and ultimately deciding how other people are going to view you, you know, as a business person and a racer, which is really great. So definitely a long-term strategy. Always stay congruent, you know, with who you are and what you want to accomplish. So, all right, I got a few more minutes, and I'm just going to jump into the next one. This one was from Ben Friedman. We've been talking about tire pressures a lot, and really interesting stuff. So he was saying that he was making a comment on episode 12 of the Racers HQ podcast, where I said at the 17-minute, 45-second mark that you generally want to drop some tire pressures out of your tires in the rain. And we're talking about autocross here. But he said he read in Neil Roberts' Think Fast book on page 57, he says, when the pavement is wet, the way to maximize grip is exactly opposite from dry pavement. You want to maximize contact pressure between the rubber and the road in order to push water away from the contact patch. And that makes a lot of sense. I get that. That makes a lot of sense. So you really have to make a decision here, because to be successful in the rain in an autocross car, you know, especially at lower speeds, you need to get the car to rotate. And rotation gets harder in the rain because, who's this? Michael Hastings. He said, seems like there's a lot of great info here, but the internet is choppy where I'm at. Have to catch the next one. Michael, tell you what, this video will be posted here on the Facebook page and probably on racershq.com later. So please come back and try and get the whole thing as it streams a little better and your connection's better. And if you have any questions, you can definitely submit them anytime you want at racershq.com/ask. So you have to get your car to rotate in the rain, right? And because there's less front-end grip because of the water, it's hard to get that initial bite where the tail will start to come out. So one of the easiest ways to do this is to either increase your tire pressure so that you actually end up decreasing grip in the rear, or decreasing tire pressure enough so that it decreases grip in the rear, right? And I know that's counterintuitive, but we're going to talk about it. And you can do it both ways. The book by Neil Roberts called Think Fast that Ben was talking about, I haven't read it, but he sent me a few screenshots of the pages and I read through it. And I mean, yeah, the guy knows what he's talking about for sure. But you have to make a decision. If you raise your tire pressure, put more air in the tire pressure, those tires are going to get more twitchy, okay? And twitchy is not something you want in the rain. Right? What you're doing is you're stiffening the sidewall enough so that there's less shock absorption, you know? So you have to decide if you want your car to be twitchy in the rain, which I don't like. So I tend to lower my tire pressures in the rain, and that tends to work more, because if you lower the tire pressure in a performance tire in the wet, you're actually gaining a little more traction because you've widened the contact patch. There's not enough air in the tire to keep the sidewalls from bulging out. So the tire gets a little wider, right? And it gets a little more sluggish. It gets a little more lethargic at the same time. So it gives you just a little bit more time, split second more time, to think about what's going on and think ahead of the car and make corrections, you know? So you have to decide, do you want it twitchy? Or do you want it a little slower and easier to predict, you know? And I think they're probably both about the same as far as speed goes. And, man, we're talking about the podcast a lot here, but there's a lot of great information on the Racers HQ podcast, free on iTunes and Stitcher if you're interested. I had Julian Garfield on the podcast in episode 14 and 15. It was a two-part episode. And he won the 2016 Pro Solo C Street Series. Also was the third place finisher at the Mazda 24 Shootout. Big deal. They gave him a full ride to race in, I think it was the, what's the divisional series? the majors, SEC majors. So he got a car to go do that and a lot of support. So congratulations to him. But he's an expert autocrosser. He's probably maximized, the person who's first maximized the new MX-5 at the national level. He's very, very good. And we were talking, and he always drops his pressures way down too, which is interesting. He was on the Potenza RE71Rs. We talked about him last week, and I know most of you guys are on the RE71Rs. And is that Ken Fox? Ken Fox just shared the video. That's really cool. I know Ken Fox, nice guy. Looking forward to seeing you. Congratulations on your new gig, Ken. That's really exciting up there at the base. And we'll talk soon, I'm sure. Julian Garfield, pro racer, he actually drops his rear tire pressures way down in the rain, so you can get a little bit more rotation in that MX-5 Miata, which is pretty cool stuff. And he's running the R7Rs. That's what I was saying. I think he runs like 29 PSI in the rear normally, and he dropped him down to 22 PSI to figure out exactly where the sweet spot was. And he said that was working pretty good, and they played around, and he ended up around, I think, 20, maybe 24 PSI, which is pretty standard for rain running. So, and he was actually able to get a win on those low rear tire pressures, which was really interesting stuff. So, so there you have it from an expert. I mean, you're two experts. You've got Neil Roberts, who wrote the Think Fast book, the racing book, and Julian Garfield, who's obviously gone out and proved it that you can do it the other way. So it's really up to you. And most people are going to opt for the lower pressure because it's a little more easy to predict. Paul Sexton has given his input to the situation, and he says, I had to raise my rear pressures a lot at my last event to induce more rotation. Granted, it was dry, not wet. I'm in complete agreement with that statement. I like that. I've done the same thing in the BRZ. It seems to work a little better on pavement. I don't know why. Probably because there's not as much of a twitch effect on dry as there is in the rain. It's a little easy to predict. Everything happens faster on dry, but the ability to predict and recover seems to be better on dry. So I would think that lowering the pressure in the wet would still be better. And I know we got a lot of racers on right now, so if you want to, just go ahead and throw in the comments right now. I don't know if you have any tire pressure tricks, especially for the wet, because that's something we all struggle with. I was on the Z2s. They're a good rain tire. I know the Bridgestone RE71R, that's probably a better rain tire that most people are on. And I'd really like to hear what people are doing, especially since most of the guys on, they have the Bridgestones like we talked about last week. So go ahead and throw in your comments some of your best advice as far as, pressures and tuning and rain and stuff like that. And if you don't get to do it now, you always go to racershq.com/ask and submit your question there or your comments, and I'd love to talk about them on the next session. And we're going to do this again next Wednesday. It'll be at 7 p.m. You know what? Let me change that. I had a couple of people email me and say, I wasn't able to make it because of the time. So I'm very flexible. So I don't know what you guys, if you have a different time you'd rather do this at, whatever works good for you, let me know. You can always reach out to me anytime. So yeah, all right, cool. So we've gone over just a little bit, and that's okay. And this is your last chance. I'm going to give you another few seconds here to submit your comment or your question so we can. And I do have some time. I do have some extra time tonight. We can keep going if we need to, but I don't see anybody needing anything. So, there's Calvin. Let's see what Calvin's got. He says, almost all my runs last season were in the wet. Ooh, oh, yeah, we talked about that. That's right. He says he lowered the back by a couple pounds, but left the front alone. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. I don't think I've ever lowered front pressure either. It's really tricky in the rain because there's so many variables, and I think you probably want to mess around with one thing at a time. So I mean, if it works for you, it works for you. I know Calvin's in the isn't it 08 Mustang, Calvin? If I had to wager a guess, I think it was an 08 Mustang that Calvin has. So I'm sure that all these cars are going to act a little bit differently, and that's okay too. So, all right, cool. I think we're going to wrap up now. Guys, if you have any questions we didn't get to, please go ahead and submit them at racershq.com/ask. So pleased to have you here. The first session had 73 people stop in and hang out. That was really exciting. I don't know how many people this is going to be. I'll actually see it after I stop the video, so we'll find out in a minute. So thanks a lot for doing this. I'm looking forward to seeing you next week. And if you have any questions, let me know. racershq.com/ask, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks a lot.